Nasty here at Next Level Guitar, and today we are going to cover 3 rock and roll licks that anybody can play. We're going to be doing this in A minor. I think these are the first 3 that I ever learned, to be honest, so this is going to be kind of cool for me to go through. We're going to enjoy ourselves, we're going to take our time, and anybody's going to be able to play these phrases. Before we get started, we want to talk about 3 things that are crucial to us. Please subscribe to the channel, click that like button, and leave a comment. I'm a social media addict just like everybody else. I like to lurk and see what people have to say, but this keeps our communication clear and fun between us, and it actually is just a great help. So that way we know what content we can bring you, so that way you guys are satisfied and happy. So, 3 phrases anybody can play in A minor pentatonic. Here's my scale that I'm going to be working from. So, when I go through this first phrase is going to have a little bit of bending in it, and I'm going to flatten my first finger on the 5th fret, and I'm going to practice going, because what I'm going to do when I play that is I'm going to add an additional pull-off on that 2nd string from the 8th fret to the 5th fret, and this is going to be lick number 1. Now, why this is crucial is anybody can play it, but it's going to teach you some great things on the guitar. We always want to make sure that we're conscious of what our strumming hand is doing, in addition to all the busyness of that left hand. And whenever I work downward on a guitar, in my personal opinion, I think it's good to hit an up strum when we get to that high E string. It's almost like putting the brakes on as we work through the phrase. It gives me almost something to shoot for, and that's how I'm going to be able to pick up speed, or it's going to enable me to think about picking up speed as time goes on. It returns me to a down strum when I get to that big fancy pull-off. But anybody can play this lick. We're going to take it nice and easy and play it over a jam track in a moment. But if broken up, you get a lot more than just one lick out of it. I think that's what's really kind of important, is we might be talking about 3 licks anybody can play, but if we break these up into small components, you have several licks that you can play. So starting out, that's the first lick. That's a rock lick that anybody can achieve by taking their time and especially working it through a really cool jam track. When you're pulling off, I will say, you might hear this high E string a little bit. You might hear a little, like some noise and stuff like that. So it's good to keep your thumb nice and flat in the back. If I kind of almost turn my hand a little bit like that, you can see it's not tilted sideways in any fashion like that. If these are things that we're just getting started to play, you don't want to have that going down either. Those are things that kind of pop up. So we want to keep our thumb nice and flat, and it enables us to stay on the tips of our fingers. And when we do pull-offs in these phrases, it keeps them nice and clean. You spend some time on it. I mean, you can hear it. It's in all of the styles and all of the playing. So, lick number 2, another phrase that anybody can do. Did that. Look at that. Look how I rhymed that. That was pretty good. We're going to talk about doing something like this. We're going to do a hammer-on and pull-off, and we're going to hit the string above us. So we go like this. Now, things to think about here that I've seen people do over the years. You don't want to go, because that'll kind of defeat the purpose. That's rushing it a little bit. We want even real estate between all of our notes. Long notes. Now, look at my strumming hand. I'm doing 2 down motions. And 2 down motions give you a different sense of fluidity to it, if I can get that out of my mouth. I have... And hopefully you heard some of my flubby noise in there when I was getting started, before I clamped down and muted a little bit. So these licks teach you different things. When we're playing, we have to mute or palm mute the guitar a little bit. If I turn this way, you can kind of see that I'm resting this against the guitar. But there's a little bit extra noise in there. I gotta say, I'm gonna kick up, the ego pedal. Things kind of dissolve over time. So if you hear a little bit of weird noise going on and it starts to drive you crazy, don't obsess on it too much. Keep pushing through it and just trust the fact that as you work it and your hands get that muscle memory down, all those noises tend to go away. Because when you learn a phrase and then you kind of digest it, guitar is reactionary. You might be watching this video going, okay, I can do this. And then 30 seconds from now, you might stop and go, what am I doing? You know, it's just, you're feeding off of this nice communication we have going between us. When you get it down, then you're going to go, well, what are other elements that I have that maybe I need to think about? Blocking some of the strings, and that's part of learning the guitar. So there's kind of several stages to getting these phrases down. It's not just necessarily the lick itself. And that's why these are really helpful. Again, nice and smooth. You don't want to rush that hammer on and turn it into a flutter. You want it nice and even. And the same thing should be applied to this technique too. So the third lick, and this is going to cap us off, is bringing all these elements together but working in a descending fashion through the scale. I'm going to start with a pick note on the high A note here, the high E string. And I'm doing a hammer on and pull off, and I'm just working my way down the scale. Now I'm subbing this note out for this guy, so these are the same ones. If I was to turn up a little bit, it'd be fancy. Those are the same notes. So I have... Now I can complicate it just a wee little bit and go like this. So if you notice, I'm even. Be conscious of that strumming hand. Watch that as well. I am using my third finger. It's more comfortable for me. You don't need to. You can use your pinky. The reason why I chose this one, because not only is it one of the first licks that I learned, but boy, it sure sounds cool with the first one when you put them together. And this phrase here that we did on the second to the third string, well, shoot, that could be played anywhere. I could go here. So these are three not so troublesome licks, but when we accelerate them, they sound really complicated. We add effects to them, and as we get further along our journey, or in our journey, I should say, they sound great. And in addition to playing over the jam tracks, I should say I'm going to play to a jam track here in a minute. And as we stated, if you click on that link below, you're going to not only get the track that I'm playing to, but you're going to get 5 additional tracks, 6 total, that you can play in various positions. And again, it comes, if in this case, with that coinciding ebook, there's 2 of those, and they give you strategies and approaches to work with the jam track. So you're going to be very comfortable, and you have a helpful guide, like a study guide, so to speak, to go through these jam tracks, and you have assistance. You don't just have not only this video, but you have some text that will keep you on track and give you confidence when you play to these various tracks. And in playing in various places, you really learn the guitar in a quicker fashion, and it's better to stick into your brain. So I'm going to play along to this track now. We're going to demonstrate these phrases at a comfortable tempo, and immediately you'll be able to put them into your playing. Alrighty, let's fire up these licks. Let's take our time and work through that jam track. I'm going to play it one more time. Now notice how it changes when I speed it up. So it gives you incentive to want to get to that place, but you don't have to go there right away. Remember, we broke it up a little bit. And you can almost get that foot tapping, you know, while you're trying to play these licks at the same time. Fall, it makes it stink face. You just kind of get into it right away. Let's take a look at that second one. Take your time. hit those notes. Same concept on the high strings. There's lick number 3. They seem to really fit well with that change. It almost sounds like you're playing through the chords. Kind of playing one into the next, maybe stopping a little short and combining them. Take your time, hold the note. Work on a little bit of that vibrato. Then try a phrase. Take your time. Again, when you speed them up, they sound killer when you speed them up, but at a slow tempo, they sound just as nice. So please, again, as I mentioned, subscribe to the channel, click that like button, and leave us a comment. These are all really helpful things for us. I'm going to play through this. Click on that link, get all that info, get those jam tracks, 6 total, 2 ebooks. I'll see you next time. Next Level Guitar.